Welcome to the SIWIKE Podcast, the only podcast that shares the stuff you didn't know you needed to know about jobs, careers, and life. The SIWIKE Podcast, the stuff I wish I knew earlier.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Youth Corner of the SIWIKE Stuff I Wish I Knew Earlier, the podcast. We're here again with Revant, and today's topic, we thought we'd get into physical and mental health. So, Revant, what are some of the topics that we'd like to get into for today's show?
We can probably start off with some physical health topics such as sleep, nutrition, exercise, and then move on to mental health topics such as your experience, how you cope up with anxiety or stress, what motivates you, do you procrastinate, and what kind of ambience do you like around yourself.
Cool. Yeah, I know for physical health, a lot of the times the three pillars are referenced in terms of sleep, exercise, and nutrition. And sometimes people add a couple of other pillars in terms of things like me time, which usually gets into that mental wellness boat. But yeah, that's great. So what are some of the things that were interesting about sleep that you've encountered in your life? Because I know as students or youth in school, like I never really thought too much about sleep. I did it, and sometimes I got enough of it, sometimes I didn't. But yeah, what were your experiences with sleep?
I think I always had a hectic sleep schedule, and I would sleep at random times, random number of hours. For me, it was always like if I don't get enough sleep, then I won't be able to focus well, and I would often use energy drinks to keep me awake before going into exams, so that I don't fall asleep in it. And sleep is yet crucial for me. I just need my at least 9 hours sleep in a day, and I'm not willing to cut down or compromise on that because my productivity depends on the amount of sleep I get. So until I'm satisfied with the amount of sleep I get, I'm not going to be that productive. So it plays a major role. What about you? Like, how is your sleep schedule?
Yeah, I mean, in school it's probably the same thing. I slept when I slept, usually probably less than I needed to. Video games probably kept me up, or staying out late with friends. It was the thing to do, right? Like if you got home at like 10 or 11 p.m., it seems like, oh, that seems like a really boring night, right? So it's almost like we forced ourselves to get out and stay out till like 1, 2 in the morning and stuff like that, just to say, yeah, this night was worth it. But yeah, I mean, we had fun during the weekends. Weekdays, in terms of studying, I actually can't remember too much in terms of how much I actually spent, but I think I got a decent amount of sleep. I know that after I graduated, I would always pride myself for the little amount of sleep that I got, which I don't think was a good or healthy thing, right? So working as a management consultant, right, I would actually pride myself where last night I only had 4 hours, and I'm still able to come into work, right? Like one of those things. I used to take red-eye flights. So they're the flights when you go from the west to the east coast, and you'd basically sleep on the plane. So you'd land, you'd leave kind of like midnight local time, and then you'd land like 7 a.m. Toronto time, and then you'd go into work, right? So, and I would pride myself that I could do that. But little did I know that that's not good, right? So when your body's young and you're able to kind of work through all those challenges, it's not great. And what I found in doing my research over the years is that actually lack of sleep is almost akin to being mildly intoxicated, right? So when you're not sleeping well, you're actually drunk, right? And if you've ever had like brain fog and things like that, then you can kind of test. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. You're not at your best and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was definitely a challenge for me, but it wasn't something that I thought much of until kind of recently years when I was hoping to perform at my best. And yeah, I had to figure out, okay, how do I tweak my sleep? So right, some of the things that I made sure to do is doing things like putting in blackout liners, right? So in my condo where I used to live, we had these horrible curtains that were so thin, and the sun would come in and we'd wake up. And that's not a bad thing, because you definitely want to wake up with the sun. But after staying up from like 1 or 2 in the morning or whatever, and you only get like 5 or 6 hours of sleep, that's not great, right? So when in the new house, we got like blackout liners, and our house, our room is like pitch black, right? So even in midday, right, you go in and you have to turn on all the lights just to make sure, right? So I did that, and I was never like an energy drink guy, so I didn't have to really do that. And I was lucky enough where I didn't really have to do much with caffeine, right? So like coffees or teas or whatever, I never really needed to keep me up. So that was probably a good thing. And then I recently started wearing like the blue light blocking glasses, so like the orange tinted like Tony Stark type glasses, and I found that they actually help quite a bit, right? So just before I go to bed, now I get on my screen and I'll read like an ebook or something, but I've actually switched more where I still do that, and then I switch to a paper book, right? So it actually helps even more, and I find that when I wear them, I get tired and sleepy, which in my opinion is a good thing, right? Because you want to tire yourself a little bit before then. So yeah, those are some of the little sleep things that I've done, and yeah, I've kind of experimented with others over the years. But yeah, that's kind of what I got into. What about yourself? What are some of the things that have been helpful or hindered you, or what are the stuff I wish I knew earlier for yourself in terms of sleep?
I feel like during my high school, I used to be awake till like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. and then go to school at like 7 a.m. So I've definitely compromised a lot on my sleep, and then I'd be lazy and sleepy in my school. But even on the weekends, and even right now, there's a strict rule in my house that I need to wake up by 9 a.m. irrespective of the time I sleep. So I keep on having arguments with my mom as to, Mom, I slept at 3 o'clock. You waking me up at 9 o'clock. That's like 6 hours of sleep. So she always defends herself by saying, who's stopping you from sleeping at midnight? You yet get 9 hours of sleep, right? So she's like trying to push me into having a good habit of sleeping early. But it is late night when I am having some classes or I talk to my friends, and these are some of the things which I don't think so are controllable for me. But when I'm in Toronto, I think because the difference also, I need to wake up and talk to my parents. And yes, I mean, while I'm awake there, my parents are awake here, so uh, it kind of coincides. Like I'm actually living on the Indian time while I'm in Canada, so yeah, sleep schedule has not been the best.
So how has been the experience, or what has worked for you in terms of like you're abroad, you're not in Toronto, yet you're trying to study on Eastern time, but live on Indian time. So how has that worked for you? And obviously with the constraints that your mom places on you, you have to wake up by 9 and stuff. That can't be easy. So what has been helpful? Like, do you take naps? I can imagine something like that could help. Or what are some of the things that have been helpful for you in terms of like helping with your sleep?
I definitely don't obey the rule of waking up at 9. I try to laze around until 10, and also I go for a deep nap during the afternoon, so that which helps me boost my sleep, which keeps me alert at night, so that my productivity at night is the highest, so I can uh, complete all my assignments, attend all the lectures, and cope up with everything in the time I have at night. And yes, I'm looking forward to going back. Although, like, my life is much better out here. Uh, Even though classes classes don't happen that late at night, I'm yet enjoying because it's in the time where I am super productive, which is like evening to night time for me. So I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, I found that naps are quite helpful actually. Like even though that most people associate that with like babies or old people, I found that being a young person who hasn't cultivated their sleep schedule well can be really helpful. But one thing that I found super useful is that understanding that sleep cycles typically happen in about 1.5 hour segments, right? So, and one thing that if you fall asleep and well, or actually nap for less than half an hour, or like a full hour and a half, it's usually better than napping for an hour, because you probably had times where you wake up in the middle, even after 9 hours of sleep, and you're groggy, right? And oftentimes that happens because you woke up in the middle of a sleep cycle. So that kind of 60-minute, or sorry, the 30-minute to the 90-minute mark, that's the time where usually if you will get woken up during that time, you're more groggy. Whereas if you get woken up in that first half an hour, you're actually a little bit better. So think about that when you take naps. So take like an hour and a half, or maybe less than a 2-hour nap, or a half an hour nap. Because if you have, like, let's say a 2.5 hour nap, you're kind of in the middle of your own sleep cycle, and then you become groggy, right? Or even a 1-hour nap, you can get groggy too. So just something to consider in order to kind of optimize your sleep schedule, because yeah, rest is important, but there's lots to do. So when you're young, you can take advantage of it, but when you're older, you want to make sure that you develop some good habits.
That's some really good insight. I think definitely more people need to hear this. And even I'm going to personally follow your advice.
Cool. So what other topics or what other areas of sleep have been helpful for you? And yeah, or what other topics would you want to talk about in the session?
I think we can talk about fitness and nutrition. We can probably combine them because they go hand in hand. So let me give you an insight about my fitness. So I was a fitness enthusiast when I initially came to Toronto, and I would often go to the Pan Am Center because it was just a mile away from my residence. However, as winter set in, it would be quite a challenge to walk all the way in thick snow. So I got super lazy and avoided going so far away. But in order to maintain my shape, I would simply cut down on my fast food intake to compensate for the exercise which I'm not going to be doing. However, in the winter semester, I joined a cricket team for which I had enough motivation to go once a week and play matches. Therefore, I remained fit as well as I utilized all the facilities that I had. So that worked out really well for me. And generally, I try to find a balance between fitness and nutrition.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, for me, I was a pretty scrawny kid growing up. So when I graduated, I had, I think I was like 120 pounds, and I'm like 5'9.5". So pretty skinny kid, right? And yeah, my family would have like kind of weight loss competitions, and I would be on the weight gain side, right? Where I would eat my 3 meals and have a PD, what is it? Ensure. Ensure is one of those like meal replacement things. So I would have like an Ensure in between my meals, and I think after I don't know, it was like a week or two or even a month, like I gained like a pound, right? So I had one of those super active metabolisms, which a lot of people like. But for me, like I was too skinny, right? So I had like no meat on my bones. I was, but the good thing is that I didn't have to do much in order to keep that, right? But then as kind of I got older, and maybe it's working and sitting in front of a computer, then I gained quite a bit. So now I'm like 165, right? So if you go from 120 to like 165, that's like 40 pounds in there, and my highest weight was kind of like 180. And so again, some of these numbers like they're okay for some people, but for me, that being this kind of scrawny kid, it was bad. So I never had to exercise until kind of later in the years. But yeah, I finally started taking care of my health through exercise, maybe I don't know, 6 years ago or something like that, where actually, you know what, I have to. So every day I started with body weight exercises, right? So I do push-ups, I do squats, I do crunches, basically every day, only like 5-10 minutes. And yeah, I mean, I feel that I'm in the best shape that I've been in the past kind of like 10 odd years, right? And yeah, I think it's just something where oftentimes the research that I found is actually exercising a lot is not necessarily the most conducive way for increasing your health, right? Because if you think about it, if you exercise whatever 3, 4, 7 times a week, you're only like 3 to 6% more active than everybody else, right? Because it's only like half an hour, all those times. It's really getting that movement throughout the day. So So what I've trying to do is actually get up more, walk around, and do more things, staying more active, which I found has been helpful, more than kind of exercising or running like 30 minutes a day or 20 minutes, whatever. So yeah, I found that to be helpful. I used to, like when I was younger, played like badminton and volleyball and stuff like that, but that was like once a week, which probably helped with kind of my junk food habits, right? Where yeah, I would love like deep fried everything, and like I would go out to eat pretty much every week for sure, multiple times a week, if not every day, which is pretty bad. Um, but yeah, so it's not the best thing to do, but I found, like, again, over the years, I've started taking control of my health, where I make better food choices, right? So I try to eat more salads and proteins, less carbs and sugars and stuff like that, and just make a conscious decision. Like last night, I had a bag of chips, right, or some chips, but I did that consciously, where I said, like, do I really want this? Will I really enjoy this? Versus unconscious eating, right? So yeah, those are some of the things that I encourage folks to think about. Is like, well, exercise really, it's just adding simple movement in your day can do wonders, right? So like 5 minutes. If you go online, there are these workout routines called Tabata, Tabata, which is basically 4 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, depending on how they structure it, like 30 seconds, and you like do jumping jacks, or you do push-ups, or you do burpees or whatever, but you go all out. And after like 4 minutes, like, you're spent, right? But the thing is, you're not like soaked and sweaty, right? So you can get a good workout, get your heart rate up, and it takes 5 minutes, right? So I encourage folks to do something like that, and then you can add in your run, you can add in your time in the gym, you can add in whatever, but to do that consistently on a day-to-day basis can be so helpful. And yeah, I mean, in terms of nutrition and picking good choices, it's hard in a university environment, because on campus opportunities, there really aren't that many healthy options, right? So the more that you can kind of cook on your own, and learn, go to grocery shopping and whatever, if you can manage. I think there are now a lot more grocery delivery services that are targeting like university and college campuses, where yeah, you can like bulk order as like a residence or room or whatever, a whole bunch of like fruits and vegetables and things that belong in the fridge or whatever. That way you're not lugging it, because if you don't have a car and having to go to the grocery store on the bus, that's horrible, right? Especially if you have a lot of food to carry over for the week. So yeah, I mean, I lucked out on that side, because I was living at home, so I had parents to take care of that. But I guess I offset that by going out to eat way too much, right? Yeah, so well, some of the guidance that I'd have on the food side is just be conscious of what you eat, right? So I like to say, go to the fridge instead of the pantry, right? Because the fridge is where the real food is. It's the stuff that spoils because it's natural. The pantry, like, that stuff sits there for months, years, because there's crap in there that basically allows it to, right? So if you want to be putting that in your body, then you can, but just be conscious about it, right? So because if you do it unconsciously, then yeah, your body starts screaming at you in terms of like, don't do that, and that's why you wake up groggy or not feeling as well throughout the day. But yeah, I can share a whole bunch of more things. But what are some other nutritional guidance, or something that would be helpful that you've learned over the years, Revant?
I think some common things we had after hearing you speak was even in my family a couple of years ago, we at a point, in fact, we all three, my parents and I, were had coincided our weight coincidentally. But since then, I've shot up like anything because of my height. Right, I'm 6 feet, so
Mm.
I need more nutrition and I needed to grow more, and that's when I shot up more. And I completely agree. When I was in Toronto, like, I've actually done that. I've gone to Walmart in the TDC and lifted 5-6 bags of groceries for like the first couple of months until I was introduced to this delivery service agency where they charge you some amount per month, and my friends and I would share that together. So I didn't need to actually go anywhere. They would come to my doorstep and deliver all the fruits, vegetables, all the cookies, and everything, whatever I wanted, whatever I had ordered from the big grocery stores. So I think that's such a lifesaver, especially in winter, wherein you're so lazy to go. while when someone actually comes and delivers it to you, it's like a blessing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you have heavy like milk and juices and any like bags of I don't know, frozen potatoes or French fries and stuff of that, right? And it can definitely be challenging. And to your point about being winter, that's not the most fun experience having to lug all that around. But yeah, I think we gave folks a lot of food for thought in terms of sleep and exercise and nutrition. I think we gave them some useful SWIKE, the stuff I wish I knew earlier, for the physical health. And maybe we'll talk about the mental health in another episode and give them some insights in regards to that. So thanks everyone for joining us for this episode, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for joining us on the SWIKE, Stuff I Wish I Knew Earlier, the podcast. If you like the podcast, please subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you found this podcast. And if you can give us a review, that would be very appreciated. Feel free to contact me on LinkedIn at Luki Danu, LUKIDANU, and the same on most social media platforms. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Bye.